scuba diving. She says, so what? People have their ratings in scuba diving. I said, yes, ma'am, they do. They most certainly do. Mm-hmm. I said, but both my ratings, I said, I never passed a basic scuba course. I said, it's not because I'm smart. It's I process differently than other people. I said, I think the alien's interested in that. She said, well, what else? And she's being real obnoxious. And I said, I have a third-degree black belt in martial arts. I have a fourth now. And she says, so what? A lot of people got black belts in martial arts. I said, yes, ma'am, but it's not like some of these martial arts where you can order your belt in advance, so to speak, and pay for it. I said, if you fight a Shotokan black belt Japanese instructor, you're going to pay the price. You may beat him, but you're going to leave something there with him. I mean, it's not going to be an easy fight. And she says, so what? So people got black belts? I said, yes, ma'am. I said, a third-degree black belt is not something you can get easily. I said, today you can. You can practically go buy them. I said, but back then we earned these things. And I said, it's not the same thing. And she says, well, so what? People have these belts. I said, yes, ma'am, they do. But I've never had a teacher. Go out and try to get a third-degree black belt without an instructor. I've never had any lessons. Mm-hmm. That's impossible. I said, yeah, I know. That's exactly what I've been trying to tell you for the last hour, and you keep fighting me on this thing. I said, there are other things, too. I said, that's enough. I said, I want to get into a bunch of other stuff because I said, it's obvious you already have your prejudice, and I've got mine, and this conversation's not going anywhere anyway. The point is the alien is fascinated with the fact that some of us seem to... not that we're smarter. Don't think this. If you're thinking this, if you're saying, well, Sims is saying he's smarter than her, but I didn't say that, and I don't mean it. That's not what I said. You process differently than other people. That is the interest. Not that you're smarter. They don't care if you got an IQ of 190 or 590. They don't care. It doesn't matter to them. That's not why they're here. They're not here checking your IQ with a dipstick. They don't care. They're interested in something else.
All right. Hey, we have this question here from Mike from the live chat. He wants to know, of the abductees, are some of them kept?
In rare cases, abductees are kept. Rare cases. We have a case of two children that died as a result of their abductions in Dallas, Texas. This is a case I've not done much exposure on. But it's a case back about 15 years ago. But in some cases, people don't come back from the famous David Lang case, not UFO quote-unquote related, but the guy disappeared in front of the witnesses, his family, and a bunch of other people years ago, many years ago. And just disappeared, literally vaporized in front of everybody. Nobody knows where he went. Some people, again, my my Brazilian friend said, well, why do you come here to study the UFO? I said, because you're Indians. You're all Indians. I said, don't you understand this? And I said, look what they've done to the Amazonian Indians for 10 years down here, the Chupa Chupas. They have come out of the Amazonian River in these UFOs, these Chupa Chupas, and have tortured these people and done terrible things. Some of them, I said, I suspect that they never found any of these people. But it's very rare that they don't bring you back. And I don't want to, again, scare people here. It's very rare that people don't come back. Very, very, very rare. And I think because something bigger than they are is going to make them, in most cases, bring you back. And I'll give you an example here. And I'm not trying to get religious on everybody here. I'm just telling you, I'm just interested in the data. This is just data. This is not being theologically correct or whatever. It's just being correct, in my opinion. One of the things we found in some of these events that's very fascinating to me is, because I hear this all the time, the alien loves, their gods and their angels, and you don't get it, and that's okay. Maybe I don't get it. Maybe I'm kind of dense here. But the fact is, in the rare cases where angels actually have shown up in an abduction event, the alien couldn't get out of there fast enough. They're terrified of angelics.
That's what I'm talking about. So you don't need
that's exactly what I'm talking about. I said, where did they get? Why are they afraid? I said, there's this ancient scripture I like real well. It says, the wicked fleeth when no one pursueth.
Yeah.
I said, if they're good guys, why are they afraid of an angel? I mean, I'm not afraid of an angel. Mm-hmm. What's the problem?
Mm-hmm. So
what is the problem?
So it is better to have an angel than an orgone blaster.
Works for me.
All right, we have this question here. Has the CIA ever seen any documents from you that support any of these claims?
Has the CIA seen any documents from me?
Yes.
I can only answer that question this way. I'd love to think I'm really important, but I probably am not. I did have a guy volunteer off of from a show very similar to this. I don't think as in-depth as you are. But a guy met me in Houston. He said, I wanted to volunteer to help you with a little bit of your web stuff. And I says, why? And he said, I'm a little concerned. And I said, my wife was sitting there. She said, what's the problem? He said, you're not CIA anymore, are you? And I said, no, sir. And I said, I swear to that. I said, I didn't leave on good terms with the company. I said, I brought a case against him that ended up in Congress. He said, you're kidding. He said, well, that made you an enemy. I said, you're no longer family if you do that. And he says, I said, what is your concern? He said, I am, like, real good at what I do. And I said, okay. He said, the intelligence community is parked on your website. I said, why do you think I haven't put anything up there in 3 years? He said, good idea. He said, I just wanted you to know that. He'd look at my wife, and she's like, what do you mean parked? He said, I don't mean to alarm you. He said, I'm just saying they're parked. He said, and I said, can you be specific? He said, sure. And he started listing them out. Now, the reason I knew that was true, and I didn't let him know that, is because I had a friend of mine who was a former cryptologist in the intelligence community, used to be one of our web people, and one of the things he used to do is track people doing things. And one night I gave, on a radio show, I dropped some cue words that we used back in the company and in the intelligence community just to see who was listening out there. And he called me the next morning. He was furious. And I said, what is the problem with you? And he said, we had 250 hits on the website last night. He said, NSA, Defense Intelligence Agency, Central Intelligence Agency. He said two of the computers were in the White House, and they are NSA computers. Mm-hmm. He said, what in the blankety blank have you done? I said, I just mentioned some words, and I just wanted to know if anybody out there was listening.
I know
he said,
the feeling.
Well, they are.
Yeah, I definitely.
So I think that I don't send letters to the CIA, and I suspect they read my website, and I don't care who reads my data, because I have, as far as I'm concerned, all this data belongs to the human race, and not to the intelligence community or anybody else. It belongs to us all.
Mm-hmm. Well, and freely you have received and freely you give, so that's, we appreciate that very much.
It works for me.
We have this question here. Do you believe Jesus is God?
I believe Jesus is God's Son, and that of course, you can get into theological wars over this. Mm-hmm. Is Jesus the Son of God himself? Of course he is. Is Jesus therefore God? Well, in my opinion, he is also God, because he is God in three persons looks like one God. God in three separate identities looks like the Father and the Holy Spirit and the Son. Period. So if you think you can if you think you can define God, or I can, you're out of your mind, or you lose your mind. Because it's not going to happen. Yeah. But we can anthropomorphize and do these fun things and try to get a grasp on it. But God invested himself totally in the person of Jesus Christ to show us who he was through his Son.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned just a second ago about the Stephenville sighting. What's your take on that?
My take is that the individuals so far, from what I've seen, are correct and consistent. The constable, cops, as I told these people, I said, don't usually come forward whether they're lying or tell. And when I mean lying, I mean they don't come forward and make statements. Period, about anything, in court or out of court, because it'll get you in a lot of trouble unless you're absolutely sure. And he came forward and was truthful, and I like that. I was very impressed with that. Mm-hmm. The fact is, these F-16s out there, you got 20 F-16s, you don't know where they're at, you're fired. You do not have 20 F-16s flying around the universe refueling and doing other things. Oh, we forgot where they were at. No, you didn't. They were chasing UFOs just like those witnesses said they were. A guy comes on there and says, well, they said, are you people really qualified witnesses? Do you want to sit down in front of a camera and let me turn the camera on you and ask you some questions? You see, I've got a few skills of my own. One of them is how to determine whether people are lying or telling the truth, and I would love to take a person like that from the military, the intelligence community, and ask them some questions and show you why I know whether they're lying or telling the truth. Mm-hmm. Let's turn that table around. Quit taking people who saw something they can't explain and making them look like they're nuts because you know what they saw was correct and you're covering it up. I just hate that. I hate that whole mentality.
Yeah, I think that